In this video we're gonna set the jump. Okay, we're gonna set the jump. So what we need to do, we need to open up the player script. Okay, whenever we press the space key, okay, we're gonna jump in the y direction. Okay, so what we need to do, we need to open up the player script. Okay, we need to open up the player script, and we're gonna do it update function, because update function get called every single frame, and we need to check every single frame if we are pressing the space key or not. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to bottom. Okay, we're gonna type if. Okay, if input. Okay, input dot get key. Okay, get key, input dot get key, and we need to pass the key code. Okay, key code dot space. Okay, key code dot space, and make this curly bracket. Okay, make this curly brackets. So what we are doing over here, in if we are pressing the space key. Okay, if input is the space. Okay, key code dot space, if we are pressing the space key. Okay, in this between in between this curly brackets, okay, whatever you write, it will be execute. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna check if it's working or not. So we're gonna print out a message on console. So in order to print out a message on console, we have to type like this. Okay, debug, we have to type debug dot log. Okay, and you have to quotation, you have to type this quotation, and you have to type this string. So let's say we're gonna print out message like this: player jump. Okay, player jump. Okay, and end it up with semicolon, close this by semicolon, and add back to Unity. Okay, so what we are doing over here, if we are pressing the space key. Okay, if we are pressing the space key, we are printing out the this message, player jump, in the console. Okay, uh, and also if you can find the console, you have to go to window. Okay, then general, then you can find the console scene. Okay, game scene, all of them, if you somehow lost any of them. Okay, so what you need to do, if you can find the console tab, just go to window. Okay, then general, then you can find the console, or control shift plus C. Okay, so what so if we hit play. Okay, in the top you can see three buttons. So the play, hit the play button. Okay, hit the play button, and if we press the space key, that message will print out. Okay, that message will print out. As you can see, player jump. So, okay, as you can see, whenever we pressing the space key. Okay, space key, this multiple times player jump message arriving. Okay, okay, printing out. So what we need to do, we're gonna jump, we're not gonna print out a message. So we will firstly we're gonna make a function. Okay, function. So in order to make a function, we have to type this void. Okay, void, and you have to name the function. We're gonna name this like jump. Okay, jump, and you have to make this brackets, first brackets, and these curly brackets. Okay, what we're gonna do, we're gonna control X for cut this. Okay, and paste it over this function. Okay, so we're gonna call this function. We made the function, but we never calling it. So we're gonna call the function over here. Okay, over here. Okay, over here you have to type this the function name and these brackets. Okay, so what we are doing, if we pressing the space key. Okay, if we are pressing the space key, this jump function get called, and this jump function will print out the message on the console: debug.log. Okay, player jump. Okay, control S on your keyboard and add back to Unity. Okay, this will do the same thing, but it is prettier than doing that what we did before. Okay, so that's the reason, and we will able to see the message. Okay, player jump. Okay, so if we hit play. Okay, if we hit play, you whenever we press the space key on the keyboard, that message will appear. Okay, that message will appear. So So if I press the space key, as you can see, player jump message getting printing out on the console. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're not gonna print out the message, we're gonna jump in the y direction. So what we need to do, we need to go to rigid body of this game object. Okay, rigid body component, and we're gonna set the y direction. We're gonna add a force. Okay, we're gonna add a force to this game object in the y direction. Okay, we're not gonna do so, select the move tool, we're gonna add a force in the y direction. Okay, y direction, we're not gonna do it in the x direction, we only gonna add force to the y direction. So in order to do that, we need this rigid body. Okay, we need this rigid body component. So what we gonna do, we're gonna double click it to open up the script. We will create a empty rigid body field. Okay, so what we need to do, we have to do public, okay, public rigid body 2d. Okay, rigid body 2d, and you have to name this, I'm gonna call it rb. Okay, rb, and control s on your keyboard to save these things and head back to unity. You will able to see an empty rigid body field will able to will appear. Okay, it will show. So what we need to do, we need to drag that rigid body to that slot. So we will have the link of this rigid body. Okay, wait, just wait for compile. As you can see, rb player rigid body. Okay, so what we need to do, it will be selected by none. Okay, it will be like this. Okay, and none rigid body 2d. So what we need to do, we need to drag the rigid body to that slot. Okay, now we have link the rb, so we can now we can tweak the value in it. So what we need to do, instead of printing out message, okay, what we gonna do, we're going to rb, okay, rigid body component, and we're gonna add force. Okay, we're gonna add force, and we have to type new vector 2. Vector 2 is a two-dimensional data. Okay, it has x and y. Okay, so what we want to do, we're not gonna whenever we're gonna jump in the y direction, not the x direction. So we're gonna put 0 to the x direction, and in the y direction some unit. Okay, so what we have to type over here, in the x direction we're gonna put it 0. Okay, 0f. In the y direction we're gonna put some value like 10f. Okay, 10 unit, and this is a force. Okay, this is a force, so we also need to include force mode 2d dot impulse. Okay, force mode 2d dot impulse, and end up with semicolon. Okay, and control s on your keyboard and head back to unity. So we are adding force to the y direction only. Okay, we are not adding force to the x direction. So whenever we press the space key, we are adding force to the y direction, so this player will jump. Okay, this player will jump in the y direction. Okay, so just wait for to compile. If we play, okay, if we play, you will able to see whenever we press the space key, it will jump in the y direction by 10 unit. Okay, 10 unit. So just wait for to compile. So as you can see, it's jumping. Okay, in the y direction, but the problem is we can jump as many time as we want. Okay, as many time, so we need to restrict this. Okay, we can jump any whenever we press, we can jump also twice like that. So we need to fix that. Okay, we need to set like, if we are grounded, then we're gonna jump. Okay, we're gonna jump only one time if we are grounded. Okay, so we need to keep track of if we are grounded or not. Okay, if we are grounded or not. And unity has a function, okay, on collision inter 2d function. So we need to head back to the visual studio. Okay, we're gonna do over here on collision inter 2d, you have to type same thing. Okay, same thing like this. So this function over here, this is a unity function. This function get called when the player when this game object collide with something. Okay, so this whenever this player collide with something, this function over here will get call. Okay, this function will call. Okay, let's suppose debug. Okay, we want to see debug.log, we something like we are grounded. Okay, grounded, sorry. Okay, grounded, and end up with semicolon. So this function over here, whenever the player collide with something, okay, this function will get called, and this function will print out this message debug.log. It will say we are grounded. Okay, this function get called whenever we collide with something. So head back to Unity, you will able to see we are grounded message will print out whenever this player collide with this ground, okay, or this white square. Okay, just wait for to compile it. Okay, and if you are new to my channel, then subscribe it for future tutorials. Okay, so if I play, okay, if I play, you will able to see whenever the player collide with this square or ground, we are grounded message will print out on the console. Okay, so as you can see, when this collide with our ground, it's saying we are grounded. Okay, that function get call, okay, whenever we collide with something. So also so we need to keep track of we if we are grounded or not, then we're gonna jump. So we also Unity has another function when we leave something. Okay, this is called on collision. Okay, on collision exit 2D function. Okay, this function get called whenever we leave the collider. Okay, let's suppose we collide with this ground. Okay, and then we leave. Okay, whenever we jump, and then we leave this collider, so that function will get called whenever we leave the collider, or the ground. Okay, so we're gonna say debug.log. Okay, debug.log, we are not grounded. Okay, we are not grounded. Okay, we are not grounded. Okay, control s. Okay, control s, and head back to Unity. You will able to see when we collide with this square or the ground, the we are grounded message will print out when we leave this ground. Okay, or the collider, the we are not grounded message will print out. So so wait for to compile. Okay, wait for to compile, and you will able to see. So just hit the play button. Okay, hit the play button, hit the play button. Okay, uh, as you can see, we are grounded message print out when we collide this square. If we leave this square, okay, as you can see, we are not grounded message appear when we leave this. Okay, so once one time we gonna jump one time, we will able to see once more time. As we can see, we are not grounded. So by this we're gonna check. Okay, we're gonna make a bool parameter. Okay, it will be true or false. If we collide with this ground, we will say to true that thing. Okay, when we leave this thing, okay, we will set that bool to false. So we need to make a bool. We need to keep track of if we are grounded or not. So what we gonna do, we will make a bool parameter. Okay, and so we're gonna make this public. You can make it private. Okay, you doesn't need to make this public. For explanation, I am just making it public. Okay, I'm going to call it this is ground. Okay, is ground. Okay, is ground. By default we are not gonna say set anything like that. So when we collide with the ground, okay, when we collide with the ground, also we need to tag this as a ground. Okay, also we need to tag this as a ground. So what we need to do, how you can tag, I'm gonna explain. Just wait for to compile. Okay, just wait for to compile. What you need to do, you need to select the ground. Okay, select the ground. Okay, select the ground and go to inspector. Over there, tag, you can see. Okay, this is untagged, so we're gonna tag. So click that untag and add tag. Okay, you can name that tag to ground. I already created and hit enter to save that. Okay, and go again to that game object. Okay, go again to that game object and assign that tag to ground tag as a ground tag. Okay, now we have this ground as a ground tag. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna check, okay, this function over here on collision intertrudity. Whenever we collide with something, this function get called. Let's say if we collided with our ground or not. If we're gonna say if other, okay, other dot collider, okay, collider dot tag, okay, if it's equals to our ground, okay, ground, then so this we are checking, okay, we are going to collider, okay, and if that collider or if that game object collider has the tag of ground, as you can see we assigned this as a ground tag, as you can see. So we are checking if the collider, if the game object or the collider has ground tag. Okay, so what we gonna do, we're gonna set this is ground over here, as you can see we're gonna set that to true. Okay, we're gonna set that to true, is ground, we're gonna set it to true. Okay, okay, so we're gonna setting it to true. So when we leave the, so in here this function get called when we leave the collider. Okay, let's check if the collider has tag our ground tag. Okay, if other, okay, if other dot collider dot tag is equals to ground, okay, ground, ground, okay, so we're gonna set it to is ground to false. Okay, because we are no longer contacting with ground. So over here on collision inter function get called when we collide with something, and we are checking if the collider, if other dot collider dot tag, we are just going taking this. Okay, so other dot collider, if that game object collider has tag our ground tag. Oh sorry, I just mess around. Other, okay, other dot collider dot tag equals to ground. Okay, ground. So we are going to that collider and the tag, and we are saying if it's equals to our ground. Okay, so we are colliding with the ground, okay, ground, and the game object has tag ground. So we, what we are doing is we are setting is ground to true when we leaving the ground. Okay, when we leave any collider, this function get called, and if we are checking if that collider has tag ground, okay, whatever collider we are living and that collider has ground tag, okay, then we are setting is ground to false because we jumped. Okay, control s on your keyboard and head back to Unity, you will able to see, okay, the is ground bull. Okay, is ground bull, just wait for to compile. So if we select the player, okay, if we select the player, as you can see is ground by default set it to false, it's unchecked. Okay, so when we gonna play, when we play, we will collide with this square, and this square has ground tag, or this ground has ground tag. So we is ground will become true. Okay, as you can see is ground became true. Okay, when we press the space key, it will leave this ground. Okay, so then we are setting is ground to is ground to false. Firstly we are checking if that game object tag or that collider has tag ground tag. Okay, as we know this ground has ground tag. So when we leave this ground, okay, this function get called when we leave the collider. Okay, so and we are checking the game object collider tag. Okay, so this is ground will be false. So so as you can see it get unticked. Okay, it's get unticked, but when we collide with the ground, so it the is ground becomes true and checked. Okay, checked. Okay, so what we gonna do over here on the top, over here we are setting. Okay, so we are pressing if and if we are pressing space key, and we will also do, and you have to type this double and we're gonna say is ground is true. Okay, means we are colliding with the ground. Okay, if we are pressing the space key, okay, space key, and if we are grounded, okay, grounded, then we're gonna jump. Okay, then we're gonna jump. But when we leave, we setting it to false, so this condition won't work because this will be false. Okay, when we leave the collider, this will be false. Any of this statement will be false, so this function over here will not gonna call. Both the both condition should be true. Okay, is ground, you can type like this, equals to true. Okay, true, or you can set it to like is ground, it also means true. Okay, so this both condition should be true, then this function will call, and then this function will add force to the y direction. Okay, y direction by 10 unit. Instead of hard coding this, you can make a variable. Okay, like jump height. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna make a variable. Okay, we will call that jump height, public float. Okay, public float, we will call that jump height. Okay, jump height. By default you can set any value. I'm going to set 10 unit, as we said this before. Okay, so we're gonna replace this with jump height. Jump height is 10. So the variable is pretty helpful. Okay, so this both condition should be true. So if we are pressing the space key and if we are grounded, okay, is ground is true, then this function get called. If any of this statement is false, let's suppose this is ground is false, this function won't get called because this both condition should be true. Okay, so control S on your keyboard and head back to Unity. Okay, when we leave this ground, we are setting is ground to false, so the false, so we, and if we are pressing the space key, it won't work because is ground becomes false. But when it collide with the ground again, is ground became true, and if we are pressing the space key, then we will able to jump. Okay, as you can see the jump height parameter. Okay, you can set it to any value. By default we set it to 10, you can set it to 5, you can adjust the value. So that's the pretty helpful thing of variable. Okay, and hit play. Okay, hit play, you will able to see the player jumps when we are grounded. Okay, when the player collide with this collider, and this collider has ground tag, if we select, as you can see, ground tag, so we are checking that. Okay, now if we press space key, but we cannot jump twice, as you can see, we cannot jump twice, as you can see. When we can only jump when we are grounded. Okay, only we can jump when we are grounded. I hope you understand this, the logic behind it. Okay, so if you understand, okay, so give a thumbs up, and if you don't, just comment below. Okay, and if you are really new to my channel, then subscribe it for future tutorials. Okay, if you have any question like that, you can comment below. I am surely gonna answer you, and I will be happy if you comment something like that and give a thumbs up. Okay, okay, and love you guys. And lastly, thanks for watching this video. Okay, goodbye.